Hey folks, how's it going? Mr. Murray coming to you here with a do now for Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. First of all, so excited to be seeing folks today for the hangout. Very much looking forward to that. Um, and I'm also excited to continue to talk about degrees and radians with you all. So today we're going to continue our looking into degrees and radians, making sure we've taken a look at that little activity. Um, and someone had pointed out that it was a private video. I was able to make that public. So hopefully we've seen the problem, the do now problem. We've seen what are radians and how do we convert from radians to degrees. And then we hopefully saw a little problem that you can do using radian measure instead of degree measure. And we'll continue to talk about that a little bit more before we move on to some other things with circles. So the key thing that we talked about, and if you haven't seen this yet, I encourage you to go back and maybe take a look at this and then maybe come back to this. But the key thing we've seen is that pi is equal to 180 degrees because we defined a radian, 1 radian, as a measurement such that the arc is exactly equal, the intercepted arc is exactly equal to 1 radius. So if I was to have a circle, I was to have these open, okay, this arc, if it's the same length as the radius, then this is 1 radian, okay, because the arc is literally 1 radius long. Now if the arc, what we know about circumference is, well, the circumference is 2 pi r. So if the radius, essentially if the arc is pi radiuses long, then that would represent a half circle. And for more on this, watch the video and do that work. But this is 180 degrees, or pi radians. Okay, so if pi radians is equal to 180 degrees, convert these three measurements from degrees to radians. Or rather, I'm sorry, convert these from radians to degrees. So take a moment, figure out, do I use this conversion factor or this conversion factor? Remember, should degrees have pi in them? Think about that. Okay, take a moment, pause the video, convert to degrees, then when you're ready, unpause, and I'll show you how to get them. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna see if I can actually move these down so I can do a little bit of, yeah, there we go. Looks like the pi is gonna come separately from the 18. So, sorry if my pi's are kind of unclear. I've been working on pi's for quite a long time. Been in the game for a while. All right, now we need the pi to cancel. So I want the pi down bottom because it doesn't matter what pi is. The idea of multiplying by something and then dividing by the same thing and having those cancel each other out, in effect, we know that works for anything. And then here I'm going to do 180. Remember, it's like a dimensional analysis problem. So the pi cancels, and now we simplify. So I'm going to cancel this 2, make it a 1, cancel the 180, make it a 90. And I'll do 3 times 90 for 270 degrees. Here, same thing, 180 over pi. Again, you know you're right because the pi and the pi cancel out. And then this 3 becomes a 1, and the 180 becomes a 60, because 180 divided by 3 is 60. So you get 60 degrees. You don't have to do the canceling this way, but you should get 60 degrees either way. Third one's a negative, so you just got to be careful here on the third one. You just have to remember that since this is a negative, your final answer has to be a negative. So I'm not going to worry about the negative for now, but I'm just going to have to remember in the back of my mind that it is going to become a negative in the end. So those cancel. This becomes 1, and this becomes 10. So what you end up with is negative 10 degrees. Okay. Now, here's one thing we do want to discuss here is that you do need to be careful, again, just making sure that if you have a negative angle measurement, you end up with a negative number. That is important. And then essentially, if you think about it, remember that when you multiply a fraction, right, by a number over itself, the value doesn't change, right? So if I multiply pi over 3 by 2 over 2, right? Well, 2 over 2 is 1, so it's like multiplying by 1. Well, this is the same idea. 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. So it is like I'm multiplying it by 1 because those two quantities are equal to each other. 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. So if I'm dividing 180 over pi, it is like I'm multiplying by 1, right? Because those two things are equal, and something divided by itself is equal to 1. So hopefully you found this video to be helpful. Hopefully you're able to get these 3 answers. We're going to continue our work with stuff involving degrees and radians today. Be making sure you check the class lessons. But best of luck. Don't forget to love math. And remember, you can do it. All right, have a wonderful day, folks. And I'll see you next time.